Prabhu and Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So thank you that we could all be here together again on another Sunday morning inspiration. And thank you, Prabhu, for joining us. Over to you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Are you hearing me? Are you able to hear me clearly? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Wusa, for hosting me and for giving me this opportunity to give a talk on this important topic, differentiating Achan or deity worship from idolatry. Quite on so many occasions, we get people confused, especially people from the Christian and Muslim background. They get confused with the two elements. But our acharyas and the scripture, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, and the entire Vedas have explained this topic very well. So I thought that I should share my realizations today about the topic. So we are going to be, first of all, we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 29, text 25. That's where we shall start our discussion from. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Makskrutya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaya Udiyate Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloka Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 29, text 25. Achadava achetavad Ishwaram mam swakarmakti Yavana vedashrahidi Sharvabhuteshu avastitam. Word by word translation. Acha adau, beginning with the worship of the deity. Achayate, one should worship. Tavat, so long. Ishwaram, the supreme personality of Godhead. Mam, me. Swa, his own. Karma, prescribed duties. Kriti, performing. Yavat, as long as. Na, not. Veda, he realizes. Swahidi, in his own heart. Sarvabhuteshu, in all living entities. Avastitam, situated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada Ki. Yeah. Performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities as well. Purport. Worship of the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is prescribed herewith, even for persons who are simply discharging their prescribed duties. There are prescribed duties for the different social classes of men, the Brahmanas, the Vaisyas, the Kshatriyas, and the Shudras, and for the different ashrams, the Brahmacharya, the Grihastha, the Vanaprastha, and Sannyasis. One should worship the deity of the Lord until one appreciates the presence of the Lord in every living entity. In other words, one should not be satisfied simply by discharging his duties properly. He must realize his relationship and the relationship of all other living entities with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he does not understand this, even though he discharges his prescribed duties properly, it is to be understood that he is simply laboring without profit. The word Swakarma Kriti in this verse is very significant. Swakarma Kriti is one who engages in discharging his prescribed duties. It is not that one who has become a devotee of the Lord, who engages in devotion service, should give up his prescribed duties. No one should be lazy under the plea of devotional service. One has to execute devotional service according to his prescribed duties. Swakarma Kriti means that one should discharge the duties prescribed for him without neglect. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, this text, is elaborating the importance of deity worship. Generally, it is to be understood from Shastra that in this age of Kali, deity worship is not so critical. Because as you know from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, it is stated there that whereas this age of Kali has so many faults, it is so impossible. In this age, what is so important and what is so good about this age is that to approach the Lord, one simply needs to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Ram. This deity worship, according to Shastra, actually according to Srimad Bhagavatam, it started at the beginning of Treta Yuga. That at Treta Yuga, when people became so disrespectful of each other, the saintly persons introduced devotions, their deity worship. So this deity worship was very prominent, especially in Dwapara Yuga. But in Kali Yuga, people might not be able to perform deity worship with the 16 items properly. Sometimes a person will do deity worship maybe with some offenses. Maybe he will come with dirty clothes. Maybe he will not wash his mouth after eating food. Maybe there are so many instructions Prabhupada has summarized this instruction in his purport on the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, text 23 to 24. He has summarized all these instructions on doing proper deity worship and all the other 9 processes of Bhakti, the instructions regarding this. So, but sometimes a person might not do it properly. But when a person chants the Maha Mantra, it's so easy. So in this age, the Maha Mantra becomes supreme. It becomes the sublime method for approaching Krishna consciousness and, of course, attain liberation. But still, deity worship is necessary in this age. And this text we have just read shows us why it is necessary. To purify the person, especially people who are living their homesteads, the grihastas, or those who are not yet married, of course, but are living in their homesteads. They are not living in association of devotees in temples and all that. It is stated in the Shastra that deity worship is so important for grihastas, people living in homes. If they cannot at least worship deities in their homes, then they should attempt to go to the temple where there is a deity and worship, or be there when the deity is being worshipped. So deity worship is purificatory. It purifies. It helps the person to get purified. Because your eyes, my eyes, our eyes are not qualified to see the spirituality of Krishna on sight, first instance. So because they're not qualified, then a person has to keep seeing the deity form, the Acha Vigraha, the Acha incarnation of God. He has to keep seeing this form. And then slowly, by seeing this form, he gets used to the spirituality of God, to his body, to the body of Krishna, which is Satsidananda Vigraha. And then that way, he can perfect his practice and attain Krishna consciousness and get self-realized. So, the introduction of this Pancharatra process is simply to help one. Of course, there are 2 processes. There is the Bhagavata Vidi. There are 2 tracks to Krishna consciousness. The Bhagavata Vidi, the Pancharatra Vidi. Bhagavata Vidi is the other processes of devotion. Shravanam, Smaranam, Kirtanam. Simply by chanting, listening, remembering, chanting. Then The Pancharatra Vidhi is this process of, first of all, seeing the deity form of the Lord, worshipping the deity form of the Lord. And then, slowly by slowly, ascending to the process of the Bhagavata Vidhi. So, a person should try, just like in the way the 9 processes of Bhakti are listed, a person should try all these processes. Of course, by doing one, slowly by slowly, one gets to the other. But this Pancharatra Vidhi, the history is, first of all, that Pancha means 5, Pancha, and then Ratra means 9. So then it is told in Shastra that one time, Lord Brahma, there are 2 demons. One is called Madhu and Kaitava. These 2 demons one time stole the knowledge of the Vedas, the Vedic knowledge. They stole the knowledge from Brahma, Lord Brahma. And then Lord Narayan had to reinstall this knowledge into Brahma again. And Lord Narayan did this in 5 nights. So the word Pancharatra comes from that process. Pancharatra. 5 nights. So therefore, the process there are so many Pancharatras, but one of them, our Pancharatra is the Narada Pancharatra. The one we follow is Narada Pancharatra, the one we use in devotion, in deity worship. So this Pancharatra is divided into 5 parts. The first part is waking up in the morning. Waking up in the morning, the preliminary stages, waking up in the morning, doing achan, paying obeisances to your spiritual master, washing yourself, changing to clean clothes. That's the first process, the first stage, stage 1. And that one is called Abhigaman. Then the second stage is Upadana. You are collecting the required paraphernalia, the required things to do deity worship. Then the other is yoga. You link your mind to the deity, the supreme personality of Godhead. And then you start reciting the Buddha Sudi prayers, the prayers which situate you in understanding who Krishna is in real sense. Then Ija, which is the actual worship with the 16 elements. You know, when we are doing this deity worship, we do to the 16 elements. Then lastly, the Swadhyaya, or personal meditation. Now, this one is the one which involves Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Shraddha. So this one is now you see how the process of deity worship has again led you to the other processes of devotion. So deity worship is very important. It purifies the person. And therefore, among the 9, when you look at the 9 processes of devotion, deity worship is situated after Padasevana. Padasevana. When you follow them in their order, you'll see that deity worship is after Padasevana. Why is it after Padasevana? Because you have to accept. First, you have to approach self-realized person, and then serve that person, and then that person will instruct you on deity worship. So this process of approaching a self-realized person and getting initiation is very important for you to do proper deity worship. But we have then got so many people thinking that we are doing idolatry. When you are preaching to a Muslim will tell you that you are doing idolatry. And so do some Christians. But what is idolatry? I want to define idolatry according to, I have already defined Achanam, deity worship. So now I want to define idolatry according to the Christian teaching, according to the, of course, the Judeo-Christian culture, which is predominant in the world. The Judeo-Christian culture is responsible for the civilization that we are following, which civilization Prabhupada called, they call it modernization, but Sri Prabhupada called it modernization, that it's madness. So this civilization has written the books that we follow, books like the dictionary. So now words are being defined according to the Judeo-Christian civilization. So the dictionary, and of course Christianity, defines idolatry two ways. One, worshiping some form which is not God. Two, by having your mind diverted from God and you are paying too much attention to material things. For example, if all you are paying attention to is your money, then according to Christianity, that's your idol. If your wife is everything to you, then according to Christianity, that's also your idol. So idolatry has been defined by them two ways: by worshiping some form other than God directly, worshiping directly, or by paying more attention to something ungodly. It might be a habit, it might be a person, it might be a material thing. So therefore the question is, do devotees of Krishna do idolatry? His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, the spiritual master of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada, in the book, The Ray of Vision, he discussed this topic elaborately. There is a chapter in that book, Ray of Vision, called Scholars and Indologists, where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is discussing with Professor Sudas, and is discussing this topic of deity worship. Professor Sudas puts a question directly to him that you're doing idolatry. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explains the difference between idolatry and deity worship. When you read Exodus chapter 20, you'll see how how the Christian commandment says you should not make for yourself any form of anything in heaven, on earth, or under the water. Do not worship it, do not bow down to it, because I am a jealous God. I will punish you with all your generation of descendants for this. So this is the basis of their condemning idolatry. And throughout the Pentateuch, of course, there are so many scriptures in the Bible that say this. But this is what it says: you do not make for yourself. That's the first thing. Don't make for yourself. So do we make for ourselves these deities? No. The deities are a product of Shastra. There is a very elaborate process of what to worship in Shastra. We cannot concoct our own processes of worship. It's only Krishna who can give us direction on what to worship and how to worship. So Krishna has told us to worship the Acha Vigraha. Krishna has also told us to worship the spiritual master. Krishna has told us to worship the self-realized person, to impart knowledge into us. And so we do this simply because Shastra says so. So if we are making for ourselves, concocting, then we would be doing idolatry. But we are not concocting. Professor Sudas asked Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, you are even worshipping some form of God, of your God, which are animals. And of course, he's looking at forms like the fish incarnation, Matsya. The fish incarnation of God. Like Kurma, the turtle incarnation, and others. But when you read the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, all those incarnations of the Lord are authorized. They are spelled by scripture, by Shastra. When we worship Lord Jagannath on the Jagannatha Shastra chariot, all in our temples, because Jagannath is in the temple for the 12 months and then for that period. We are worshiping a form of the Lord that the Lord made for himself and gave it to the king of Orissa to worship. So the first principle we are not making for ourselves anything, but we are worshiping an authorized form of the Lord. Because Prabhupada gave this analogy. Prabhupada gave this analogy of the post office box in relation to what is authorized and what is not authorized. So Prabhupada said, suppose I have an office, a post office box myself with the post office here in Kampala. So my post office box is 119 11919. That's my post office box. So when I have a key, so when I go to the post office box, I put there my letters with a stamp, and then they're delivered where they're going. But suppose, this is an example from Prabhu. Suppose I make my own box at my home here, and I keep putting letters there. The letters will not go to South Africa. They will not reach Sabyasachi Prabhu and Madhya Kadamini, Das Mataj, and everybody in Wake Up South Africa. They will not receive the letters. Why? Because the box where I put the letters is not authorized. Does not belong to Posta Uganda or Posta South Africa or Posta America, whatever post office. But when I got the post office box, which is authorized, and I put the letters will go. Same box made of the same materials, but one is authorized, another is not authorized. Same thing. The deities are made out of material elements. They are made out of brass metal. They are made out of stone. They are made out of wood. But I cannot just get any brass or any wood or any stone and then I worship. I cannot, because it's not authorized. So one is authorized, another is not authorized. That's the first thing. Secondly, the process of worship is prescribed. The process. It is said that in Tetra Yuga, when the saintly person introduced this deity worship, they introduced it with the mantras and the elements that are used in worship, the 16 offerings. So we have not added anything since Tetra Yuga. We have not added anything. We are following these mantras, same mantras. We are following same scripture injunctions of processes. I've just explained to you the Pancharatra process, the stage-by-stage process of worshiping the deity. Now, we are following these processes because we cannot concoct processes. These processes must be handed down to us by Krishna himself through the parampara and then down to us. So, we do not do idolatry. On the other hand, the people who condemn us for doing idolatry are the ones who do idolatry. Because many Christian believers today are involved into what is called indulgences. They are selling blessings. They are vending blessings. They have become vendors of blessings. You give this much, and then you get this much. So they are worshiping money. In our temples, when you come, even a very big man who is the richest man in the country, he sits on a cushion down on the floor. When you go to the Christian church, you will find that they are worshiping these rich men. They sit on the front chair. They sit on the front chair. When they start giving Holy Communion, they have to be the first in line. Even the rest of the church knows that they have to wait for some rich man to first get Holy Communion, and then they go and get Holy Communion. So this is idolatry. This is idolatry. They are worshiping money. They are worshiping rich men. They are worshiping name and fame. And this is Kaitava Dharma, as per the Srimad Bhagavatam. Cheating religion. Cheating religion. Then, me who is following my scripture injunctions, I look like I'm the one doing idolatry to them. And them who are not following their scripture injunctions, they think that they are actually doing not idolatry. So, this deity worship is very important. It's very important for purifying ourselves, for taking us to the next level. I can give you an example in the Bible where God made for them something to worship. And because God had made it for them and instructed them to worship it, so they did. But when they made for themselves something, God destroyed it. I know all of you who are coming from the Christian background must have read about the 10 Commandments. So these 10 Commandments were inscribed by God on a stone, on 2 stones, 5 on one stone, 5 on another stone. And then they are placed in the covenant box. And the covenant box was stipulated somewhere, and they had to get a day and they come and worship and bow down to this covenant box. More or less like a deity. Because God, his form, his words, his commandments, his paraphernalia are one and the same. So each Sabbath, they had to go, they clean themselves very well, just like we do clean ourselves very well and go and worship the deity. If you're a dirty person, you cannot do deity worship. How can you do deity worship when you are dirty? Because you cannot approach the deity when you are dirty. The deity cannot stay in a dirty place. So same way, they also did. On the orders of God. On the orders of God. This can be found in the book of Exodus and the book of Deuteronomy, those 2 books. Then one time, their leader Moses had gone to the mountain to speak with God and had stayed for so long. And then they made for them a golden bull to worship. And then when Moses came, he threw the stones which had the 10 Commandments, and the bull was destroyed. And he gave them a lecture that they cannot make for themselves anything to worship. So this is the difference. It is there in the Bible. The difference is one is authorized, one is not authorized. So this is the difference between deity worship and, of course, idolatry. So then we have all these forms of the Lord that are listed in Shastra, and they are listed following. Actually, the Lord appeared in a form that is similar to that of the Jivas. For example, when you read Shastra, you will see that there are 10 orders of life, from the animals to the human form of life. And these have been listed in Shastra. The invertebrates, the animals which are invertebrates, are number 1. The testaceous or shelly animals with a shell are number 2. Number 3 are the vertebrates, the animals that have backbones. Number 4 are the erectly vertebrates. These ones are combined form of man and form of beast. They are half man, half person, half beast. They are called erectly vertebrates. Then from that, from the erectly vertebrates, you go to the mannequin the dwarfs, the mannequin, the dwarfs. Now we have started human beings, the mannequin, the dwarfs. Then you got the barbaric people, lower than Shudras, like Chandran. Then you got the civilized people, they are number 7. Then you go to the wise people, they are number 8. Then you go to number 9, the ultra wise. And then number 10, the destructive people who are destructive. Now, even the Lord, the incarnations of the Lord, they have appeared in a similar order. There are 10 of them. Marcia, Lord Marcia the fish, in the same order like I've mentioned, of divas. Kurama the turtle, Lord Varaha the boa, Nishima, man, half lion. Nishima is equal to the erectrovertebrates who are combined of man and animal. They are all they're in this order. And from Nishima you go to Vamana, the dwarf. You know the Lord appeared as Vamadev, the dwarf. I know you've read this. Then Parusharama, then Lord Rama, then Lord Krishna, then Lord Buddha, and then finally Lord Kalki will come. He's similar to the destructive people, Lord Kalki. So when a person finds you worshiping any of these forms, and you'll say, how can a person worship a turtle? This is the scripture. When a person finds you worshiping half man, half lion in form of Lord Nashingadev, he's worshiping some funny animal. He doesn't know that I'm worshiping an authorized form of the Lord. And again, when you worship an authorized form of the Lord, your prayers have got an address. Your worship has an address then. And the beauty of your worship having an address is that you get your desire. Of course, the desire of the devotee is not a Karumakandi desire. It is to be engaged more in devotional service and get Krishna Prema. But when you worship something unknown, then what is the address of your worship? What are you going to gain out of your concocted form of worship? What are you going to gain when you do worship that's not sastric? Nothing, absolutely nothing. Nothing, absolutely. So we worship the form of the deity because we are not yet qualified to perceive the spiritual body of the Lord, which is Satsidananda. When Prabhupada was in London, after he had installed Sri Radhaneshwara, one Indian lady shouted, he was giving a lecture, when one Indian lady shouted at the back of the temple, and she said, you are saying the Krishna, Krishna, how can one see Krishna? I cannot see Krishna. Why do you say you will see Krishna? How can you see Krishna? She shouted on top of her voice. And Prabhupada said jokingly, you don't see Krishna. Everybody here sees Krishna, pointing at the deity of Radharanieshwara. Everybody is seeing Krishna, and you alone cannot see Krishna. Maybe you are not qualified to see Krishna. Prabhupada spoke like this. So, there are two ways to worship the Lord. You can worship the Lord as nirguna, as possessing the attributes, all attributes of the Lord, nirguna. That Lord with a spiritual body. That is a devotee who has understood Krishna. He sees Krishna as the possessor of the 6 opulences. He sees Krishna as everything. The giver, the taker, the creator, the annihilator. But before you reach that level, you can also worship the Lord as Sagun, non-possessing of qualities. And that is the deity form of the Lord. The brass, metal, stone, and wood. This lifts you from the neophyte level from Kanista Dikari, then takes you to the level of absolute truth. So, when we worship the form of the Lord that is made out of material elements, we are worshiping the Lord because our mind is situated on the Lord in his spiritual form. Even when we are worshiping, this deity form is giving us a chance to concentrate on the spiritual form of the Lord. The mantras we are reciting when we are worshiping, we are worshiping, oh Krishna, the one who is in Vrindavan. We are saying all these wonderful pastimes of the Lord. And because the Lord, his form, his pastimes, his abode, his paraphernalia. And then when we worship the Lord and then we say the Maha Mantra, all this achan, all this deity worship should be followed by the Maha. All of it. There is nothing that a devotee should do and should not be followed with the Maha. Everything should be followed with the Maha. Because this is the Dharma. This is the Yagya of this age. The Maha. So, I don't know how much time I've taken so far, but I intended to share with you my realizations on how deity worship differs from idolatry. How much time, Mataji? How much time are we remaining with?
It's been 42 minutes, so if you would like to still speak for a few more minutes, that would be really nice before we do questions.
Okay. I don't know whether my watch is here. I need to time myself. Okay. I know the class is for 1 hour, so I don't want to break the rules. There is one more thing I want to talk about in relation to deity worship. Prabhupada wanted all of us to become Brahmanas. Prabhupada came to the West and, of course, to Africa and everywhere to create Brahmanas, to give the society a head. Brahmanas are the head of society. So all of us are supposed to be Brahmanas. Now, according to Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, one of our spiritual masters in disciplic succession, a Brahmana has 6 duties. But of all these 6 duties, there are 3 important and compulsory duties. So because all of us are Brahmanas, there are 3 compulsory duties that we must perform. And these duties are worshiping the deity of the Lord, studying the Vedas, and accepting charity and utilizing this charity in preaching. When you accept the charity, you don't accept it to eat and grow fat and build houses, but you accept this charity for the sake of extending the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, it is our duty. It is our duty to always do these 3 things. Hare Krishna. I think I'll stop it there.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That's really wonderful. And thank you for sharing very important information about deity worship because, you know, like you said, there is a lot of confusion in terms of other religions. So we have some questions. There's one question so far in the chat box from Prema Pujari. Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it fruitless to worship the deities without the instruction of the spiritual master?
Oh, I should answer one by one? Okay.
Yeah, yes, we'll do one by one. Sorry.
I was trying to note, thinking I'm going to take more than one. So anyway, the question is it fruitless to worship the deity without the instruction of the spiritual master? Yes, it is fruitless to worship the deity without the instruction of the spiritual master. How will you learn how to worship the deity without the instruction of the spiritual master? There's no way you can learn in the first place. How will you perfect it without the instruction of the spiritual master? This knowledge is only received through parampara. All this knowledge, not about worshiping the deity alone. Everything, you first get it from a spiritual master. You get it from a self-realized person. So, but you know that in ISKCON, our Jagat Guru, preeminent Shiksha Guru, our spiritual master, is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Instructions in the ancient ages were taught by oral reception. You would sit there, your spiritual master would sit there, he instructs you, you learn, and then you go and practice and also recite the same to others. Oral reception. In this age, now we are receiving instruction not only by oral reception, but also by written form, by reading. So when they say that among the 9 processes of bhakti, the first is hearing, they also mean reading. Reading is part of hearing. So we are lucky, the instructions are all over. Our spiritual master has the instructions all over. So we can find them in the books. They are there. So you read Prabhupada's books, you will get the instructions on deity worship, and you will follow. That's it. But you cannot follow on your own. You cannot follow whimsically. You cannot follow out of your own understanding. You must get instruction from spiritual master. Right.
Thank you, Prabhu. And another question from Jai Radhika Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna, dear Prabhu, thank you. What is the consequences of not following correctly in deity worship if done in ignorance?
Yes. When you don't follow, because there are so many, when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, I think I noted it here. Let me check. Yes, Canto 7, Chapter 5, text 23 and 24. Please read that purport by Srila Prabhupada. That answer is there. The effect is that you'll be committing offenses in the worshiping of the deity. You'll be offending the deities. For example, when you are going to worship, you are not supposed to enter deity room with shoes. You are not supposed to eat in front of the deities. You are not supposed to pay obeisances to any other person in front of the deities when the deity curtains are open. You are not supposed to come to the deity room when you have not showered. You are not supposed to come in the deity room with dirty clothes. You are not supposed to shout in front of the deity. You are not supposed to tell lies in front of the deity. There are all these list of procedures that you must follow. So when you don't get instruction from the spiritual master or by any means you do it wrongly, then you're committing offenses to the deity. But the good thing, there is a process of purification. If you realize that you've been committing offenses to the deities, then there's a process of purification. And there are so many processes. One of them is circumambulating tulasi. That's one of them. The other is by planting tulasi, just planting seeds of tulasi anywhere, in your home, at the temple, by getting a seed and you plant it and you make sure it grows. That's one way of cutting off the offenses. The other is by going to the holy dam, fasting a day and bathing in one of the holy rivers, the Ganges, for example. you are now getting all the sinful reaction removed by doing this. There are so many other ways. There are so many other ways. Even by chanting the Maha Mantra, when you read the Shinamamrita, you'll find that even by chanting the Maha Mantra, you are destroying all the offenses that you have committed. So there is always that's the beauty of always having the instructions, following with instructions, because now when you commit offenses, you have to get the instructions on what to do. Otherwise, how you cannot do it without instructions. So the answer is the result of worshiping deities improperly is that you offend the deities and commit offenses. And when you commit offenses, the good thing is that, of course, there is a way of how to cut these offenses. But it should not be that a person commits offenses and then he goes and then circumambulates Tulasi and then he comes back and commits offenses. No, you should endeavor to perfect the process. Of course, we know that at the beginning, a neophyte might not do everything rightly, but there must be that faith and desire to always perfect things. And this desire is amplified by chanting of the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. All the time. 16 rounds for those who have made the vow. Those who have not yet made the vow, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds. Doesn't matter, but you must chant. And chanting of the Maha Mantra has different effects in each way you do it. For example, when you chant japa, your personal chanting, doesn't have the same effect as when you engage in kirtan in the temple. The effect with kirtan is a little bit higher. When you chant Hainam Sankirtana, the street chanting, going out on the street and chanting, the effect is also a little bit different from when you're doing kirtan. So don't think that because I do japa, then I can leave kirtan. Because I do kirtan, then I can leave Hainam Sankirtana. No, the effect of Hainam Sankirtana is higher than the effect of kirtan when you do kirtan in the temple together with devotees. The effect of kirtan in the temple is also higher than when you do japa. So you have to do all. There is no shortcut. Here you go.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, I see another question in the chat box. Let me just go. So this looks like from Sabyasachi Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu. It is said that deity worship is mainly for the neophyte devotees in relation to preaching, which is more important, and for Madhyam Adhikaris. How do we understand this in relation to the understanding that Brahmanas should worship the deity?
I got the question is two-way. So I'll first answer the first part. Then you read for me again the second part after I finish the first part. So, but this question was put to Prabhupada directly. Sattva Rupadas, Goswami Maharaj, ask Prabhupada, if I become so expert in deity worship, I become so expert in management, I become so expert in preaching, what should I do of all these three? Prabhupada said, do preaching. Before even Sattva Rupa Maharaj had finished the question, Prabhupada had given an answer, preaching. Yes. So of deity worship and preaching, which one is very important? Preaching. Deity worship is mostly for the neophyte devotees. Yes. Deity worship helps us. Deity worship is very important to a neophyte devotee. Deity worship is very important to a grihasta. Because the home of a grihasta is a home of sin. Sin is just 1 second away from a grihasta's home. So deity worship helps in the purification of the home of a grihasta. So deity worship, and it also helps to ensure cleanliness. If somebody is faithful, is situated in proper faith, he will always aspire to clean the place where the deities are. Deities cannot stay in a dirty home. So deity worship is very important to the neophyte, to help the neophyte purify the neophyte. take the neophyte from the offense, the stage of chanting offensively, to the pure chanting stage. So it's very important when you fight. Of course, deity worship in this age is not the sublime method for this age. The sublime method for this age is the Mahamantra. So, by doing deity worship alone, it's not sufficient. Somebody should always add Kirtanam. Somebody should always add Kirtanam to deity worship. It's very important. Kirtanam means chanting of the Mahamantra, but it also means preaching. Somebody should always add. Now, let me get the second bit of the question. You need to unmute.
Yes. Part of the question. So how do we understand this in relation to the understanding that Brahmanas should worship the deity? So
how do I reconcile the understanding that a Brahman should worship the deity?
Yes, in relation to that it's for neophytes.
Okay. A Brahman doesn't do these things for himself. When Prabhupada said that he has come to give society Brahmanas and to give them a head, a Brahmana is supposed to be instructing society. So by a Brahmana worshipping the deity, he is not doing it for himself. He's using the opportunity to attract people, neophytes, to come and gain from deity worship. Even by a Brahman accepting collections, donations, he's not collecting to eat and feed himself. He's accepting them to establish a preaching mission. So the Brahman, the devotees of Krishna, of Hare Krishna, the Krishna conscious person, is supposed to establish temples, to put deities there so that these people who are foreign can come and take opportunity to worship the deity. So when I say that the Brahman is supposed to worship the deity, is giving the neophyte and the society at large the opportunity to come and see the deity form of the Lord, and they get purified. That's the answer. Otherwise, a Brahman, if he doesn't worship the deity, he will still get Krishna Prema. He will still get the love of Godhead. He will still get self-realized. But he has to do it, because by doing it, he's preaching. He's bringing people to Krishna. Yes. Do we have another question?
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I also wanted to ask just one more question. So, for many of us, we didn't come from backgrounds or grow up with, deity worship. So it's still quite a foreign concept for many of us. So how do we become more inspired to do more deity worship?
Yes. Now, first and foremost, I have already explained that the most important religious practice of this age is chanting the Mahamantra. The Mahamantra, in it has everything. Everything is in there. The Shastra also says that by a person taking part in one process of Bhakti, one of the 9 processes of Bhakti, all the others get revealed to him. So first and foremost, you have to start. And of course, you have started. So first and foremost, you have to start something. You have to start something. If you cannot do deity worship directly in your home, for example, it's important to visit a temple once in a while and attend to the worship of the deity, the program, when they're worshiping the deity. Everything that happens in the temple on the Sunday is in line with the 9 processes of Bhakti. For example, we eat prashadam, and that's one of the processes. For example, we do kirtan, that's one of the processes. We hear a class, that's one of the processes. Achanam, we do deity worship, that's one of the 9 processes. When they are reading the Bhagavad Gita, they tell you to recite. They tell you when they're reciting the Sanskrit, you have to repeat. So you have to repeat. That's one of the 9 processes of bhakti. So everything that happens on the Sunday program is designed to make you benefit from the 9 processes of bhakti. So when you cannot do it on yourself, by yourself, you don't need to be so much thinking, oh, I'm failing, I'm not perfecting because I'm not doing deity worship. No. Simply once in a while, go to a place where there is a deity and attend the program. But also continue doing the other process of bhakti that you are able to do. And then that way, and above all of them, chanting of the Maha Mantra. Chanting of the Maha Mantra. And I've told you, chanting of the Maha Mantra in the 3 phases is very good. In form of japa, form of kirtan, and in form of Harinam Sankirtan. So have I answered your question?
Yes, Prabhu, that was a very, very nice answer. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you so much for today's class. I see there's another question in the chat box that came. So could our movement be slowing down the Sankirtan mission by overemphasis on temples and deity worship, which attracts more Hindu cultured persons, instead of facilitating the spread of the holy name to Westerners?
Yes, I think that is true. In a way, we are slowing down on Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and taking it to the comfort of temples and eating sabji, prasadam, and collecting donations from the Indian community, which he, of course, likes to donate, which is bad. Prabhupada always emphasized Sankirtan. Prabhupada said, we are just supposed to be a world Sankirtan movement. That's what he called us. When he was sending his devotees to London, his disciples to London, he told them, you go to London and make it a base for the world Sankirtan movement Europe chapter. That's what he told them. So from London, many other temples were started in Paris, in Sweden, wherever. Many were started. But a temple is supposed to be a camp. In our ISKCON understanding, temple should be a camp. What is a camp? A camp is a place where you go temporarily to sleep and do other activities during the day. So the idea of Prabhupada of temples and temples in our Gaudiya Sampradaya, it is supposed to be a camp. It's just a camp, like a military camp, a base where you base to go and fight with Maya. But of course now temples are becoming so wealthy, so staying in the temple comfort has become one of the problems that our devotees are facing. But in Africa, we have to fight so much to get out of this comfort, to do this Sankirtan movement, to take it everywhere, every town and village. We have that duty. So we should take it serious, take it so seriously. And you see, one of the problems that we get is that we worry so much. We think that when we go out there to do this Harinam Sankirtan and book distribution, and then we think that, oh, people will not come. I'll go there, people will not be interested. I'll walk on the street, they'll just look at me. Why is it your business? It's not your business. Lord Chaitanya chanted even in the forest where there were animals, and the animals repeated the holy name. He chanted everywhere. It's not your business. You just go and chant. Because by hearing, you are doing some good. Just by people hearing. Even when they are hearing accidentally. The Maha Mantra is like a nuclear bomb. When it comes in a place, whether somebody has known about its coming or not, it has an effect on them. It has an effect on even cats and dogs. Even drunkards. It has even an effect on drunkards. It has an effect on everyone. So you just have to go and chant. The effect of the Maha Mantra on the people is not ours, it is for Krishna. Bringing people to listen and join us is not ours, it is for Krishna. So this is we are slowing down on the Sankirtan movement. And Prabhupada, if he came today, he would chastise that. And I know he's chastising us. Prabhupada is here, of course, in Vani. He's not with us in Vapu, but he's here with us in Vani. So in his Vani form, he's chastising us. In all his letters he wrote, he's chastising us. In all his purports, he's chastising us. But we cannot listen. We just want to do what we want. We just want to gain benefit from this movement, but we don't want to do Sankirtan, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Very well.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's actually very, very nice that you've emphasized the importance of Sankirtan. And I think it's very true. Prabhupada is chastising us right now. So we're not doing enough Sankirtan, getting too comfortable. So thank you, Prabhu. So I think that seems to be all the questions that I think we've gone over all the questions. So we'll just go over the announcements. And Prabhu, if you don't mind, if you can just wait until the end of the announcements, and if you could give us some closing words before we leave. Okay, thank you. So the announcements, I will quickly paste some of the links in the chat box. Let me just do that quickly. So all the links are in the chat box. So Prabhu can be found online at jagatbandhu.Gauranga on Facebook. And then also kindly visit, like, share, and follow WUSA's social media platforms, which is Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at WUSA108. So help us get to 1,000 follows and subscriptions and more. And then also we have the morning japa sessions every morning from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. South African time. All these details will be communicated on the WhatsApp group, the WUSA Weekly WhatsApp group. So we also have the Books Are the Basis book club, which is a jam-packed reading and sharing of realizations session every Thursday evening on Zoom. And everyone is more than welcome to join. Please do join. And then we have the Wisdom reading series as well, which is an extension of the Books of the Basis, which is Tuesday and Wednesdays, also on Zoom from 7 to 8 p.m. South African time. So currently we're studying Vaishnav etiquette and lifestyle alongside Nectar of Devotion. And then on Fridays, we have the Heart to Heart Vaishnavi Circle from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. South African time, with Her Grace Mother Braj Leela featuring other senior Vaishnavi speakers, also on Zoom. So you can visit wusa.online to find out more. And you're invited to, of course, join the WUSA Weekly WhatsApp group on www.wusa.online for all regular updates and communications, but only admins can post, so there will be no spam. And lastly, I'll visit our Sunday morning inspiration page on WUSA website and let us know about what classes you would like or discussions you are interested in having, or if you would like to hear from a particular speaker. So everyone's suggestions are welcome. So that's all the announcements. And thank you, Prabhu, for waiting. And do you have any closing words for us before we go?
First and foremost, I want to thank you for hosting me on this WUSA Zoom class, Sunday morning inspiration. I am so encouraged by WUSA. I remember the beginning of the journey of WUSA. I remember the first meetings and the struggle that you went through to establish WUSA. And I can see the effect of genuine devotion and genuine bhakti that you are impacting so many of us on the African continent. I pray for you. I continue to pray for you to continue in this line and to break the chains that are limiting the sharing of the holy name on the African continent, South Africa in particular, because we have a duty to share the glories of the holy name, to share the holy name, every man and woman, to take back as many people as we can back to Godhead. It's a very, very huge responsibility. And you have started in your own way, and you should continue like this. And Krishna will bless all your efforts. Haribo, Hare Krishna. Welcome, South Africa. Ki Jai.
Wow, His Grace Jagat Bandhu Gauranga Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So thank you so much, Prabhu, and thank you to all the devotees watching on all social media and on Zoom. Vansha kalpa tribhasha kripa sindhu eva chapatitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So thank you so much, Prabhu, and have a wonderful day. And thank you everyone for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Hare Krishna.